What is up, everyone? Welcome back for another show of The Final Points. I'm your host, Dom Cintorino, with Matt Gannon. Matt got the Mexico Open this week. Didn't think it could get much worse than last week, but here we are.
Here we are. I mean, this is about as bad as it gets from a field standpoint, but we're here every week to cover the golf. We're going to find some winners either way. We'll get there one way or another, whether it's ugly or it's the Masters. It doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure. So before we get into everything, big week at Fantasy Points. Obviously,
Huge.
the NFL draft is tomorrow. One of the best draft moments I've had in a little bit was getting JJ over our producer's Eagles, Jalen Reagor, that year in 2020. But either way, make sure to tune into the coverage on Fantasy Points. Thursday through Saturday, we're going to have live coverage of the NFL draft. Thursday coverage is going to start at 7:30. So tomorrow, a half hour before the Jacksonville Jaguars get on the clock, Scott Barrett, Wes, and Nick with a couple special guests filtering in and out. So make sure to tune in with them. They'll be watching it live, kind of giving their reaction, fantasy advice, so on and so forth. Friday coverage starts at 6:30. Joe, Tom, and Graham will be on that stream. And then Saturday coverage at noon, the third day of the draft, where you can find some diamonds in the rough. There's definitely going to be a lot of fantasy value guys coming in those rounds as well. Scott, Wes, and Jake will be on that one, all on the youtube.com/fantasy points, the YouTube channel. Giveaways as well. Thursday, Ryan Tannehill, autographed jersey, couple card boxes. Friday, Miles Sanders, autographed mini helmet. And then Saturday will be a Roy Williams autographed Texas Longhorn photo. So make sure to hop in. Like I said, busy week. It's going to be very exciting. I know I'm going to be tuning in with these guys.
For sure. It's going to be fun. We got the most draft content I've seen any company doing. It's berserk. It's going to be a lot of fun. Be sure to turn in when you can.
So back to the Mexico Open, the more or less exciting thing going on this weekend. Especially
we'll make it fun. We got to make it fun.
Have to make it fun. Decent week at the Zurich really last week. How'd you end up doing?
Decent week at the Zurich. The core was solid. Yeah. I hit four out of 6. The core hit. And then some of the pivots helped me out, but the ones that did hit in the core were in the top 15, all of them. So cashed a decent amount of lineups, and obviously my second runner up in 3 weeks in the outright market. But luckily, I had that top 5, so hit that top 5. Helped me have a winning week last week.
Yeah, the way you're going, you're going to have to keep betting top 5s because you're on fire with those. I mean, we're going to hit winners. We're eventually going to hit winners, but you really can't complain about top 5 finishes, second place finishes. Burns and Horschel were live all through Sunday for the most part. Right when they get back in it, it seems like they'd get kicked 2 strokes back down. So right in it the whole way. But in terms of this Mexico Open, one of, I believe, 2 editions on the PGA Tour schedule this year. Scottish Open being the second. I think that's going to happen sometime in the summer. Like we said, in terms of field strength, it really doesn't get much worse than this. You go from the WGC Mexico, which featured the top 60, 65 players in the world, to 130 plus field with John Rahm and the rest of them. I mean, it gets pretty bad.
Yeah, like the odds board is plus 300. The next one is 20-1. So it's for a reason. It's a joke. And I don't know the exact field strength number, but I feel like John Rahm might bring it up to the point where it's not the worst we've seen this season or in the past few seasons. But it's pretty bad. It's going to be ugly if you're going to watch.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's able to bring it up that much because
I don't know.
He's number 2 right now and answers
3.
20.
I think is he 2 or 3?
I thought he got back to 2.
Something like that. I'll look it up.
But either way, Answer is ranked 20th, and they're the only 2 within the top 20. Usually you get at least 4 or 5 guys in the top 20. Unless it's like an alternate field, which this clearly isn't. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of official world golf rank points based off of, like you said, the field strength. So I don't know. It's going to be a little weird, especially with this course being brand new. You got to kind of take a couple different looks at what you're doing. Vedanta is a par 71, playing 74.56 in terms of yardage. Key stats that I'm looking at, I'm going to weigh in off the tee this week just because it's a longer par 71. Obviously, the ball striking and approach numbers you're going to want to look at. And then with 5 par 3s on the course, I want guys who are able to score on par 3s, even if it's just par. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be a birdie fest. We don't know if it's going to be play a little bit tougher, but if you can't score on 5 of the 18 holes, which are par 3s and all pretty long at that, you're going to struggle.
Right. And we don't really know what we're going to get to see because this is a first time stop, but I've heard that the course, people at the course are trying to do their best to make this course play harder. Obviously they moved it back, but that's a little scary because if they're trying this hard to make it play hard, it might just be very easy. This course is made to be a course for resort guests, a course for you and I to go play on the weekend on our trip to Mexico. And anything like that, distance is not a factor for PGA Tour players. This distance is not holding them back. It's firm and fast in windy conditions. We could get some wind. I know the course write-up said there could be some crosswinds on a lot of the holes.
Yeah.
But besides that, it shouldn't be a test. I know that making a par 71 from par 73 is just going to limit the number score relative to par, but that's just a number. It's still going to play fairly easy. I'm not sure if we'll see minus 27 like we saw at Cays Valley, but I'm pretty sure we're going to break the 20s.
Yeah, I would assume so. The only thing that could maybe hold it back is the unfamiliarity with the course and the field strength. Like people.
True. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
I think the field strength could hold it back a little bit, but these guys can still score. We see it at Corrales. We see it at Puerto Rico and those events where they are weaker fields. It's just these courses are a little bit easier. So obviously another thing about the course that kind of stuck out, we don't have much to work with, but over 100 bunkers. It looks like just about every green is surrounded by a bunker, but the greens are big enough. The landing areas off the tee are big enough. So I don't think I'm going to worry too much about my guys getting in the bunker, but I at least want them to be able to get out.
If you're in the bunker regularly, you have more problems than you're not. If you're in the bunker regularly, you're not winning this event. So right. I wouldn't even look at around the green stats because this is going to be you need to hit these big greens. This more than likely will be a birdie fest as we see in these low level events. Even though these golfers aren't the best, they can get low and make a lot of birdies. And that's where the randoms win. That's where the Hudson Swaffords win when they score 25 under and they with Sunday charges, Sunday 62. So this is what I wouldn't look at around the green bunkering at all. I need someone who's going to hit greens and roll a ton of putts.
Yep. I completely agree. So looking at this course, I kind of mentioned some comp courses last night on the betting show with Hunter, but WGC Mexico course was a par 70 that played over 7,400 yards. And there's not too many courses on the PGA Tour that we see that kind of fit this mold. So that's what I'm looking at. Quail Hollow and then TPC Twin Cities, the 3M Open. Another place with a ton of bunkers, another place that's a par 71 that is a little bit longer and guys score at. So the 3M Open is one that I'm kind of using as a corollary course to see which guys had success there. That's not always the strongest field. So a lot of these guys do have experience in Minnesota at TPC Twin Cities. So are you looking at any of these events and kind of comparing it to this one or no?
I just hope you're not foreshadowing that it's Cameron Tringale week because I might have to leave the stream if that's the case. No, I like where your head's at with that. I think that's I mean, you could only speculate so much because we don't really know what we're going to see, but I do think those are some good corollaries.
So let's get right into the pricing then. Obviously, John Rahm leads the way at $11,300, followed by Tony Finau, Abraham Ancer, Kevin Na, and Mr. Patrick Reed made his way into the 10K range in the year 2020, which I didn't really think was all that doable, but here we are. So starts with Rahm. What are you going to do with Rahm? Because you have to make a stand there and then go from there.
Yep. I'm going to start with it right now. I'm fading this whole range in DFS. I'm fading this whole range in the betting market. I'm not taking a 3.5 to 1 Rahm. You can very much get away with an 11.3K Rahm and build some nice stars and scrubs because there's some 6K guys that could do it, especially in an event like this. It's a crapshoot. But I ended up liking the balance route better. So I'm going to fade this range. And besides, I'll talk about other guys later. But yeah, Rahm He's the best player in the world. He knows he wants to win. He hasn't shown it, but I don't know if this is the spot where he can just win with his game. He likes to be in a spot that's difficult, that's a Torrey Pines, that's long, that's a full challenge, not a place where you can whoever's going to roll the most amount of putts in. I know it's a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, length isn't really the issue. These are easy fairways to hit, not very penal off the tee, big greens. I don't think that this is the test where Rahm separates himself from the field.
I'm kind of torn on that one. I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's like I don't understand why he's here and like hasn't withdrawn. I think you could make the case that he should be near $12,000, really.
110%.
Like you said, the 11.3 shouldn't scare you away. I don't think you should have any issues fitting that in salary wise. I'm going to play Rahm over any of these guys in this range because of how high his floor is. I don't care if he finishes T13 and say Finau wins it or whatever. I mean, any of these guys in this range can miss the cut. I don't see that happening for Rahm. Obviously, there's no guarantees in golf, but he's clearly here to play. I think he wants to get another win under his belt. And at $11,300, like that's the number one golfer who's like, say 10-1 or 11-1 in a normal field, and they'll be priced at 11.3, 11.2. So if you get a guy who's 3-1, 4-1 in the betting market at 11.3, I'm almost just going to pencil Rahm in on a majority of my lineups.
It definitely makes sense, and that is what the market seems to be doing. He's upwards of 40%, and I'm seeing 35 to 40, which is crazy, and it obviously depends what contest you're in. So you know how I like to be. You know I'm very contrarian. I'm going to take the risk because last time we saw Rahm at an event like this was at the Amex. I think he finished like 15th maybe, but he was never in contention. And 15th, that might be a win for me if he's finishing 15th at 40% owned. And then before that, we saw him at the Fortinet, missed the cut. Again, I think he's in a different mindset now than he was then, but we'll see what happens because I think he's going to have to finish, if he's 40% owned, so he's going to have to finish top 8 for it to pay off, which he very easily and probably will.
Yeah, I think he can do that, but even
sure.
like I said, if he does finish, say, outside the top 10, I still think there's a path where you can win with him in your lineup just because a balanced lineup might not be all that balanced if a guy like, I mean, you're paying so much for some of these guys that we see in the 6K range, we see in the low 7s and have the chance to miss cuts. So
for sure,
it's hard to really say how this week's going to play out. Obviously, I just don't want to get burned by Rahm. Like I've heard people say they're going 100% or 0%. I think
that's the way to do it. I think it's 100 or 0.
Yeah, and I don't see any way in which you can just go 0, but that's just the way I'm kind of going about this. Is there anyone else in this range that you are going to roster, or are you doing a complete fade?
I have Kevin Na in one lineup just because the ball striking is, I don't know where it's coming from, but was first or second in the field at the Masters, hit it well the week after that too. And Kevin Na is not a prolific ball striker. Kevin Na kills it with the short game and putter. So again, and the Masters is the last place I think he'd crush it on ball striking. I think he'd crush it at the Sony or something like that with wedges. But if he's hitting his like mid to long irons well, okay, Kevin Na, keep doing that, and then you could be in business because we know you're going to roll some putts. So I'm not a huge on him. I didn't bet him or anything like that, but he was one of my pivots in this range off of my core.
So
he's the only one.
The only other one I'm going to outside of Rahm, and I didn't think I'd get here, but Patrick Reed.
Okay, just contrarian.
I'm seeing around 5%. Could get under that if I had to guess. Like if people are going Rahm, they're definitely not going Patrick Reed as their second guy in. I think that's a viable strategy, and you can still build through the upper 6s and low 7s with the rest of your 4. Like that's not insane to do. But Patrick Reed, 10K for him is crazy, especially given his form. We've seen him play some of the worst golf, obviously, of his career, but made his last 2 cuts at the Players and the Masters, 2 of the hardest fields, 2 of the 2 hardest fields that we've seen this season. Obviously had the win at the WGC Mexico the last time it was played here in 2020, T14 in 2019, the year prior. was T34 or better in each time he played the 3M Open, which was 2 appearances, I believe. And then looking at the longer par threes, even in the events that he's missed cuts this year, he's gained strokes on those par threes, which the card is flooded with them. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but likes Mexico, is here for a reason. I think if this is the top 20 golfer in the world, Patrick Reed, we saw, he would still be making this trip. It just seems like the type of event that he normally does play. So the ownership thing is what sold me on him. And I think he's also here for a reason. His game's turning around a little bit. Hopefully he's got a little bit more confidence than he did earlier this season. Ramen Reed is where I'm sticking my flag this week.
Yeah, and I'll give you another point on Patrick Reed that you'll like. The last time we saw him in a shitty field was Bermuda, and he finished runner-up.
Yep.
So, and he's finally gained. He finally gained off the tee, which he was losing strokes absurdly off the tee. Gained off the tee at the Masters. Don't know how he did that, but he did that. So, I'm not gonna get there, but like it seems like it could be a do something Patrick Reed week. So, and Abraham Answer, I'm all out on. I think he's just here because it's a hometown event. He's withdrawn from his last 2 events, and I feel like there's just no sign. Even before that, he wasn't like playing great golf anyway. And Abraham Answer is on film, on camera. Shout out to Subpar Podcast saying he has advantage. He doesn't have an advantage playing long golf courses that aren't firm and fast. This course has paspalum greens and fairways. The ball is not going to roll when it hits the ground. He doesn't carry the ball that far. So he's going to be hitting longer irons in than he's normally used to. It's already somewhere he doesn't like as a course fit.
Yeah, like you said, the whole withdrawing the last couple, he's not healthy. I mean, I think that's pretty clear, at least in my mind where I'm at. If I miss on a 10-3 Abe Answer and he goes and wins or finishes top 5, I'm willing to miss.
Right.
I'm fine with that. He's not in a good spot. So same with Finau. I don't know it longer hitter, but like if you're paying 10-4, you might as well pay the 900 extra and get Rahm with the safer floor. Like I don't know. I'm not going to get to Finau either. So ready to jump into the 9Ks?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So the 9Ks, if you're fading the top guys, I would imagine this is where you're going to start a majority of your lineups. Gary Woodland leads the way, followed by Sebastian Munoz, Cam Tringale, Chris Kirk, Aaron Wise, 9.5K and above. And then rounding out that range is Cam Champ, Brendan Todd, Russell Knox, Kevin Streelman, Matt Jones. Matt, who you on?
So, I started my lineups. My core 6 lineups include Gary Woodland and Chris Kirk. I bet Chris Kirk, did not bet Gary Woodland just because of how popular he was. But I like both of these guys a lot. Obviously, Gary Woodland's one of the highest tip players this week. He makes a lot of sense, trending in the right direction. I know he missed a cut at the Masters, but he lost about 7 strokes on the greens. Now we head to a spot where it's going to be kind of even out the bad putters from the good putters. Not saying Gary Woodland's a horrible putter. It was just a horrible putting week at the Masters. Fine. Still crushing it on approach. Great with the long irons. So that's where I like Gary Woodland. And Chris Kirk, he was the flavor of the week just about 3 weeks ago. And it happens all the time. Everyone's on one guy, and then just 2 weeks later, they all hop off and boom, a win, or boom, a great finish. So, and I know I always say Chris Kirk makes his hay in Florida, but I just think it's a good course fit. And I feel like he's a player with a decent skill level that can contend in this field.
Yeah, Kirk kind of stuck out to me as well. I mean, looking at his season ranks in the field, he's top 3 in ball striking and tee to green, 5th off the tee, which is a little bit shocking, something that kind of want to see. Hasn't been missing greens, but if he does happen to, he's inside the field's top 15 and in sand saves. So say he goes for it on a par 5 and gets trapped in the bunker, I'd have confidence for Chris Kirk to get up and down, and I think $9,600 is a fair price for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Chris Kirk could definitely perform this week because I'm not sure when his last win was. Might have been whatever it was, but I feel like he's been right there. He was there at the Honda, almost won, and then he had another great run in Florida. So I think Chris Kirk really has a good chance to contend this week. And I know you really like the next guy on the list.
Aaron Wise. Yes, I am.
Sell me.
I like Wise a lot this week. He plays well on these par 71s that get a little bit longer. I think he comes into play when you're looking for a birdie maker. I mean, I think Wise is just going to be solid this week at $9,500. Like I could definitely see myself having Wise as my second guy in with John Rahm. But looking at the field this season, ranks inside the top 5 off the tee to green, ball striking, and in par 3 scoring. A lot of things that I'm weighing this week. Like I said, the main thing for me was these type of courses, the longer par 71s. He's had success at. So he did play the WGC Mexico in 2019, finished inside the top 20, played very good across the board, just lost strokes when it came to putting, and then T15 at Mayakoba this past November. So has success in Mexico, has success at these type of courses. I like Aaron Wise a lot. He's on my season long. I've said that for a while.
Yep.
Had the hot fall. Still expect him to kind of get it turned around. I mean, he had a decent week at the Heritage. It just seems like he's so up and down, but his off the tee has been fine. It's just really been the putter that's held him back.
Yeah, I like Wise too. He was 4th in my model. Just couldn't get there on the 33. And I just like Kirk and Woodland better in DraftKings. I am on him in a pivot off of Kirk in a few lineups. But yeah, I like where your head's at with Wise. I won't be surprised if I get burned on not having more exposure to Wise.
To your point of Woodland, I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him.
Yeah, I'm going heavy Woodland. He's in my core, heavy Woodland, because he's going to be very, very popular.
Yeah, he will. And you're going to have to match the field or go over it, which I think I might. Looking at what Woodland's done at the WGC Mexico, which I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is one of the comp courses I'm looking at. T12 in 2020, T17 in 2019. So a pair of 17th or better finishes at the WGC Mexico, which I have said I think is going to play fairly similarly. The only time he played the 3M Open at the TPC Twin Cities, he finished T11. So the way he's been on approach alone sells me, but seeing that he's had success at some of these corollary courses, 9,900 is a great price.
Agreed. Yeah, he could easily be in that 10K range over Patrick Reed or even Kevin Na. Like, no surprise at all. So I think we're getting a decent price on there. I'm going Gary Woodland in 17 out of 20 in my lineup. So I'm very heavy with it. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Any love for Cam Champ?
Cam Champ, I was close to betting him on Monday morning, but again, he was on everyone's card, and I just doubt we're going to get a public winner in a crapshoot event. And I'm going to continue to zag when that happens. If I get burned once every 2 years on that, I'll get burned. It usually helps me in the long run. So I'm off Cam Champ. Did play him in 1 or 2 lineups, but besides that, if there's one key stat to look at, it's driving distance, carry distance, and that's Cam Champ.
Yeah.
His mecca is Augusta National for some reason, and he just played there well. Maybe that triggered something in his game because it wasn't really pretty before that. So yeah, Cam Champ kind of makes some sense. Besides him, I played a little bit of Russell Knox. Russell Knox is a career great coastal course golfer. And he's a top 20 approach player on the entire PGA Tour. Probably put him in the top 5 in this field on approach season long. So Russell Knox, I love him, but besides that, he's not a very good putter. Puts everything to 6 feet and missing it. Give him slower greens. Maybe that will help him out. I do like Russell Knox this week.
Yeah, I'm on Knox as well. The rest of this range, I don't think I'll have a whole lot. Just going down the board. I mean, I don't get how Streelman's in this range. Matt Jones. Yeah, I think Knox is a safe cash play. Right. I know CC in the Discord has wanted a couple cash plays thrown out there. I would think Knox, and really, I think you can. Let me throw this at you. If you're playing a single entry cash game, are you starting with John Rahm?
Yeah, you feel like you have to. A cash game, yeah.
Okay.
Single.
I was just gonna say, I think you could just do Rahm Woodland and take values from there.
You could Rahm Woodland, like, which is crazy. You could, if you're playing cash, Rahm Woodland, even though, but at the same time, everyone will do that in a cash game, Rahm Woodland, but you're gonna have to win it in the 8K range is where you're gonna have to win.
Yeah. Well, if you start Rahm Woodland, your last 4, you have an average of $7,200, which
You can
it
get away
gets
with
tight.
it.
But if you get a guy who's $6,400 to even get through the cut line, you're gonna get I think you're gonna have a decent force. So CC, if you're watching this Woodland Rom, that's where I'd start my cash. It gets a little tough if you want to play a lot of these guys in the 9s and 8s, I would say. But if you want to start with Woodland and go to like Kirk or Wise as your second guy in, I think that's viable as well.
Yeah, I think besides Woodland, I'm pretty sure it'll be Wise, the most owned in this range. You think anyone else will be? I'm pretty sure I'm seeing Wise.
Yeah, I think Wise and Woodland, Kirk. I could see Knox getting a little bit, but outside of that, Brendan Todd definitely won't be owned. I don't see who's playing Streelman. I mean, I'm looking at like a 7-8%. I don't even see that.
I feel like Streelman is not someone you predict. Streelman pops when he pops. Like him like damn near winning at Kiwa was like okay. Okay, Kevin Streelman. You don't predict Kevin Streelman, and when he does get chalky, it doesn't go well. And same thing with Matt Jones. I saw a few people on Matt Jones earlier in the week, like best of luck, but I just feel like Matt Jones is not someone that's predictable. Like when he won Honda, I feel like it was out of nowhere, and then everyone was on him like after that, and it was just like you can't predict this guy. It's just the same thing with Siwoo Kim. They pop when they pop. No metrics tell you when they do good.
Yeah, Matt Jones is going to be fine. Like he's going to rate out well for you regardless of what you're looking at, but I'm not going to pay $9,000 for him.
No.
That's the bottom line. I mean, he's a guy, I don't even think I could pay anything in the $8,000 for him. I'm not a huge Matt Jones guy. I'm not a huge Matt Jones hater either, but that's pretty expensive for not knowing really what you're going to get. So on to the $8,000s.
I'm just so happy we didn't talk about Cam Tringali because it didn't deserve our attention.
No, the second favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook, you mean? Cam Tringali?
Twice a year, he just is.
8 to 8.9K. We got Doug Gim, T. Gala, Aaron Rye, Ortiz, Davis Riley, CH3, Lanto Griffin, Taylor Moore, CT Pan, and Mark Hubbard. So when it comes to this range, it's almost a full fade from me based off of the way I'm constructing my lineups.
I love that we're opposite. I love
the way that I was going to say, the way that you're building, you're going to be heavy here. Who do you got?
Yeah. So before I get into like this range and talk about like my plays and bets, I need to do a quick public service announcement because I'm getting a lot of shit on Twitter for betting a rather large card, which I did. And it's not like I do it regularly. It was just because this week, it's not like I don't want to get into an argument with everyone on Twitter and say everyone's clueless, but they kind of are. I'm not betting 3 guys in the 20s and then 3 guys in the 30s and then sprinkling bombs. I started my card at 35 to 1, went all the way to 70, and then went 100 plus bombs. So the way I set up my card, and I talk about it weekly, and I have to make a video on this, I risked 2.5 units to return 17.5 units per winner. That's no matter who wins, what odds they win, meaning a 7-time return on investment. 7, I means I have to hit a winner 7 times in a 49-week season, once every 7 weeks. If you're betting 30 to 1, 20 to 1, and like 3 in each range, you have to hit a winner every 3 to 4 weeks. So when you guys are losing money on your season long, that's why you don't know how to construct a card, and not many people do. I'm not saying you, I'm saying people who are coming at me on Twitter. Like I didn't want to get in a big argument because yes, when I start my card at 35 and then jump all the way down to 70, I'm going to use all of my allocation. And it's the same money risk this week as it is when a week I'm betting 2 guys at 28 to 1 and 1 guy at 70. It's the same amount risk. You pay, it's not like I'm betting the same amount. I pay $25 for a 70 to 1 guy.
Right.
It's not, I pay $50 for a 35 to 1 guy. The people just can't wrap their head around it. And I just had to get that out there real quick. People like, but why don't you bet the whole board? I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah. The main thing that you said there was if you're adding bombs to get to that 17.5 unit mark, it doesn't matter how many bombs you have if you're throwing $1 at Alex Smalley, for example. Right.
Like I'm hitting my target risk per week, and I could say underexposed if I want to, but I like hitting my 2.5 units risk a week to return the X number. And I don't care what week it is. If it's the shittiest field ever, I have weeks where I have 2-man cards because I like to go to the top. This week I'm going all the way to the bottom. I'm going to throw as many as I'm allowed. You understand? A lot of people don't.
Yeah, and especially this week, I will say, if you are confident that Rom is,
I'm willing to get burned by Rom. Yes.
Right. You're willing to get burned by Rom. You're going to get good numbers past that. So if Rom doesn't win, then why not have as many fish in the pond as you can?
Right, like I saw cards that like 7-man cards, which is like pretty normal, but it was 3 guys in the 20s, and then the other 4s was in the 30s and 40s. If you make a card like that every single week, you're gonna have to hit an outright every 3 weeks if you want to profit all the season long.
Right.
And people can't wrap their head around that because you're risking so much to return only so much because you have this many bets. They don't get it, but I just had to vent for a little bit because Twitter was pissing me off yesterday.
There it is. Public service announcement.
Do you like anyone in this range?
CH3.
Chucky 3 sticks. Okay, I faded him in a matchup. Faded him in a matchup, but like this, I feel like he could just pop. I'm going with Tigala and Rye and Ortiz.
Okay.
Heaviest on Rye. I like Aaron Rye a lot. We saw him last week at the Zurich pop, and what does he do really well? Hit long irons close, and he hits them really close and kind of struggles with the putter. That's going to be my thing this week. We're on greens that aren't the toughest greens. So Aaron Rye, he hasn't had a PGA Tour win, and he's trending. He's playing every single week. He lives and breathes golf, and the long irons are what's doing it for me. I'm not sure he rates out extremely well with those long irons because he's only played X number of PGA Tour events, but he was top 10 in greens of regulation on the Euro Tour last season, and it's starting to show. And we saw it last week. Especially if it gets windy, he flights those long irons just as good as anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah, this season, 200-plus yard approaches. I think Rye ranks second in the field. Yeah, second in the field on the long approaches, 25th in approaches from 175 to 200. Played good last week. Team that I was on, Ryan Lipsky. We'll get to his partner in a little bit, who I'm going to have some exposure to. But CH3, having a sneaky good season, really. I mean, he was a guy that I used to play in DFS quite a bit. I think it was 2019 or 2020, either way. Really good out of the sand if it does come up. 10th and birdie or better in the field this season. He's top 25 off the tee. Ball striking, tee to green, he's inside the top 10. So I like CH3, another guy who's had success at TPC Twin Cities, 39th, 3rd, and 23rd. In the 3 years that the event has been a thing. WGC Mexico in 2019, when it was played over there, he finished 14th and really hasn't played well in approach over there and still had, I guess, decent results. So CH3 will be one that I'll be looking at. Davis Riley's intriguing. I just don't know how much of him I'll get.
Yeah, I bet him a 70-1. He didn't make the core though. It was more of a bet the number and upside. We saw him just pop at the Valspar, and then he finished 4th with Zalatoris last week. But he hit some really good shots. I was tracking them the whole week because I bet them last week. He hit some good shots. Hopefully that lighted something inside of him because the week before that he was god awful all around across the board. So if he can get back to gaining, he gained a lot at the Valspar on the greens and off the tee. He doesn't really ever crush it on approach. So if we can get him to be like a 0-1 approach and then him do the thing with the driver and the putter, I think we could be in for a nice Davis Riley week. But I mean, nothing's really pretty when you get down to like this level player. You got to kind of make your own case and run with it. So I'm going with Davis Riley. Sprinkle in DFS, bet him at a 70-1.
There's some upside in this range, though. I mean, you got 4 rookies?
Yeah.
Doug Gim, who obviously brings upside. I'm not on Gim this week. 8,900 is just a little too much for me. Mark Hubbard's been playing really well. A guy who's a grinder who I think is going to get his PGA Tour card back, especially if he keeps getting into some of these events like this, playing under conditional status right now. So needs to get either a win, which I wouldn't bank on, or to be inside the top 125 money list by year's end. And I think he's got a really good chance of doing that. Him and Bo Hostler playing on conditional status just took it to another level this year. So yeah. I do like Hubbard. It's just 8K.
8K is tough.
8K it is for a guy who doesn't even have his tour card. It's like,
we're pulling up to Mark Hubbard's season though. Like this is the time of the year he starts to trend a little bit around Travelers time, then heading into early summer Mark Hubbard pops in these like low level events. So I definitely like where your head's at with Hubs, but 8K is tough. I just won't be able to get there because I like the Tagala through Riley range, and I sprinkled Ortiz 100-1. Form is horrible, but we're in Mexico, and that's it. That is it. I will not sell you on Carlos Ortiz. It is a home field event, and he's a good long iron player going back if you sway it back further. So form is bad. We're in Mexico. It's 100-1. Cost me $18. So Carlos Ortiz.
Yeah, I don't hate the hometown narrative there.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him in DFS at all.
No, not at this price at least.
No.
I mean, he's intriguing just with everything going on, but I think he just hasn't shown me enough. Like, it's not the Ortiz that we saw over the last couple of years. He's had a rough 2022. Even 2021 wasn't his best golf. CT Pan. I was
going to say with Ortiz real quick, he got injured at the Zozo in Japan, and since then he hasn't been the same. So
yes,
all right, go ahead, CT Pan.
CT Pan rates out fairly well for me, and I think he's at an affordable price here. Gained strokes on approach in each of his last 5 measured rounds. He's made 3 straight cuts. Valspar, Valero, RBC Heritage. Not much to show for it, but statistically, Pan has been pretty good, and he played the Mayakoba last year, made the cut. Outside of that, I didn't see a whole lot of the courses that I've kind of been comparing this one to, but I like CT Pan. Like I said, I'm not going to have a ton of guys in this range. It's probably really just going to be CH3, Pan, and a little bit of Davis Riley. But outside of that, Taylor Moore seems expensive.
Yeah, nothing really. I like Doug Gim when he's at 6,900. I love Doug Gim at that price, but he's gonna have that 2 good rounds, 2 shitty rounds. Hopefully they're early and he makes the cut. But at 8.9K, you're not getting too much upside because he just can't seem to put 4 rounds together. I can't take him at that price. I love him when he's lower, but no, I can't take him there.
Same with me. And I'm usually on Gim all the time, and I can't do it. So let's jump down to the 7Ks. This is a busy range, and I'm going to have a lot of exposure here, starting with Austin Smotherman at $7,800. I get that he's going to be really popular, probably 12 to 15%, but looking at season stats, he ranks first in the field this season in both proximity ranges from 175 to 2 and 200 plus. Longer course, obviously, over 7,400 yards. So these longer approach shots are going to come into play. Then 9 PGA Tour events in his short career that were measured rounds. He's only lost strokes on approach in 1 of them. So $7,800. I think Smotherman's in a really good spot. It just really depends on my builds, how much I get to him.
Right. Yeah. I figured Smotherman would be popular. He is popular a lot, and I don't like Smotherman when he is popular. He really helped me cash in at Pebble Beach when he was like 1% owned, and then I feel like that kind of brought him up, and everyone was like, I think this kid has game, which he really does. I thought he had a really, really good chance at the Corrales Punta Cana, and he was like so popular there, and he barely made the cut. So I hope he does well, but I'm just always going to be off Smotherman for now when he has buzz. So I'm just going to wait till I like when he's under the table and a little bit more low key. But you know how I am. I'm very contrarian, so I'm going to pass on Smotherman this week.
Who do you have anyone that you're playing above 7,600 before I get to my next guy?
No, yeah, you go to your next guy.
So Patrick Rogers, going there. The distance is obviously intriguing. He's coming off of a decent week with Brandon Wu at the Zurich, who both of them weren't playing their best golf and still turned in a T21. So I'm not weighing the Zurich Classic into this event all that much, but to see them make the cut and finish inside the top 25, it's at least showing signs that of some form. Had an awesome fall, just didn't really translate over in 2022. He had a T6 at the Ford Nut Championship, 4th at Bermuda, 36th overall on the PGA Tour in driving distance, which is a little bit lower than he usually is, but 11th when you're comparing it to this field. Obviously, Rogers has distance off the tee. Everybody knows that. I mean, if you're 36th or 15th, you're still going to be able to hit it out there. It's not like he's really losing anything with large landing areas. Rogers should be able to take advantage of this course in some ways. 16th this season in the field on proximity from 200 plus. I like Rogers a lot.
Yeah, I like Rogers too, and I could definitely get to him in some pivots now that you're selling me. How often do you play Patrick Rogers? Like,
not very often at all.
Not very often, but okay. You have the PGA Tour app, right?
Yes.
Obviously. Patrick Rogers is the king of being -1 through 1. It's every single round I ever have played Patrick Rogers and had him starred -1 through 1. No, and then the finish is infinite. It could be great or horrible, but he's always -1 through 1. And I don't know why. He's just like the king of birdieing hole 1. If the PGA Tour was a 1-hole tournament, he'd be Tiger Woods. Yes. I swear, crazy.
Looking at the 3M Open, though, I mean, he rated out well on some of these longer par 71s. T32, T39, so pair of top 40s. I think him as a top 40 bet. I mentioned it yesterday. I think it's like just over even money, I want to say. But outside of that, he's played well at the Quail Hollow. I don't think he's played WGC Mexico. He has not, and didn't play. Oh, he missed the cut at Mayakoba. But like I said, had a pretty good fall. It's really just the off the tee game for me with Patrick Rogers. It hasn't been there as you would expect this season, but his approach game's been there for the most part. So I do like Rogers. And then next, talked about Aaron Rye's partner, David Lipsky. I like Lipsky. Fresh off of that T4 at the Zurich with Rye. Like I said, I'm not going to sell you on someone that finished in the top 5 at the Zurich because it doesn't really all that matter, but I'm just going to continue to ride Lipsky. He's, where are we at? Oh, it's still considered his rookie year, a guy who played on the European tour for quite a while, finally got over, same as Aaron Rye. So he's no stranger to some of these events down south, but had a lot of starts at the WGC Mexico in his time as like a European tour player. Had a T10 in 2019 when he didn't have his PGA Tour card, would just play every now and then. But on the season, he ranks 7th in the field in par 3 scoring with 5 on the card. Like I've been saying, I want guys who are going to be able to score on these and at least stay even par or be able to birdie some of these. So having success on the par 3s, having success last week at the Zurich, playing with Rye, I think Lipsky's in play here as well.
I like the David Lipsky call, and I'm with Rye, so hopefully one of us is right on that partner. I went with Wyndham Clark in my core lineup.
Okay.
He made the core, so he's going to be in a lot of my lineups. He's second in driving distance in this field, and he's coming off 4 straight made cuts, and his last 2 events at coastal one-off events, Bermuda and Corrales. Bermuda was last season, but he finished solo 2, I think, lost in the playoff. And then he finished 20th, I believe, at his last Corrales or Puerto Rico, one of the
22nd at Corrales.
Yeah. So I like how he plays at these types of courses, and I like how he can bomb the ball. Besides that, it's just the made cut, decent form, high upside. Nothing really pretty about Wyndham Clark's game besides the driver. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's a decent price. I feel like he's going to be pretty popular, but I'm going to go pretty heavy on him.
2019 3M Open top 5 finish.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
And I see a lot of similarities with those two. Like I watched some of the 3M Open over the past couple of years, and that, like I said at the top of the show, that's one that I'm going to look at. So seeing guys who had high upside finishes at that event, all the more reason to play them. I mean, we're not working with a lot, especially in this range, especially at this course. So I like the distance perspective from Wyndham Clark. Another guy down in this range, Michael Thompson. So in my FanDuel article, started the year off,
3M Open. Didn't he win that?
Open.
Yeah,
winner 2020. And that wasn't really the only thing. I mean, like early in the year, DFS was all over him. It seemed like playing really good golf. T5 at Sony in his first event, and then a couple weeks later, he finished top 11 or T11, I think, on the dot at the Farmers. So courses that have this similar layout. We mentioned the 3M Open win, T15 at Mayakoba in November before he went on that little run to start the year. So I like Thompson to get back on track. I mean, getting Thompson at 7,200 with the type of upside that he's presented throughout the past couple years, throughout like January, February, early in the season, getting him at $7,200 because he's in bad form, I'm willing to take that risk here. You can do worse.
Yeah, I definitely like that Michael Thompson call, especially with the course, the comp course. The next guy I'm going to go in this range, another core guy in my main lineups, is Alex Smalley. You know how I feel about Alex Smalley.
Yep.
He ranks 44th in driving distance on the entire PGA Tour, which probably checks out to about 15th, 20th in this field, maybe even higher. And his recent form is a little shaky, but his last time he played a coastal course in a lesser field, he finished second or third. I think I bet him that week at like 100 to 1. Got him at 150 this week, and he's 7,400 in my core. So I got a pretty decent, I feel like safe middle bill, starting with Woodland and then down to like Smalley. Then I have 1.6K guy. So with Wyndham Clark, I like Wyndham Clark and Alex Smalley in this range a lot.
Yeah, outside of that, do you have anyone else in the low sevens? A couple guys that stuck out to me. Joseph Bramlett, I don't think I can get back to. He rated out well. He's going to rate out well. I think this could be a course where he's decent given his driving distance. So if you want to pull that narrative, that's there. And then Kitayama and Danny Lee. I think I'll have a little bit of exposure to both of those guys. Outside of that, the 7K or the low 7K range for me is kind of dead.
Yeah, I bet both Kitayama and Danny Lee. I've never bet Danny Lee before, so I don't really have much expectations.
Yeah.
I also got a 200 to 1 on Kramer Hickok. I don't like that 7,200 though. I saw him at 200 while he was like 100 to 130 everywhere else. I was like, this seems like a decent price, and I bet it. There was no other reason. I like him. I love his driver, but that's it. And I kind of like him on a little bit shorter tracks because he's not the greatest iron player. He's just a very good driver for the golf ball. Not the longest, but very accurate, which is not the best fit. It was more of a number type play. I'm not going to be on him in DFS. I just like the 200 that I got.
Yeah, so that does it for me when it comes to 7Ks. Ready to bounce down to the sixes?
Yeah, this is ugly. Let's get it.
All right. The guy that I might have the most exposure to this week is Kiradech Alpha Barn Rat. So
I've seen his name. I
was on him and Kitayama last week at the Zurich, made the cut, which whatever. I mean, they finished, I think, almost dead last, T38 or 39 or whatever the case may be. Either way, made the cut when I guess some decent teams didn't. So I have that advantage. Sure. Entered the week last week, though, making 3 straight cuts. 2 of the 3 were top 39 finishes, so nothing great, but he did play the WGC Mexico 2 times, and he was unreal. So 2019 T3, 2018 T5. Obviously, that's when he hadn't really held onto a PGA Tour card, like I mentioned with Lipsky a little bit before. But seeing him finish inside the top 5 at a course that should play very similar is obviously in Mexico, so it's going to draw some similarities. Alpha Barnett at $6,900, I would probably pay mid-sevens for him.
Yeah, I definitely like that call, and I've been seeing his name on Twitter. I think it could. I mean, he's another guy he's tough to predict. He just pops when he pops, but this is an event where very weak field. He's gonna be out early. He's definitely the guy that might be 5 under through 5, and we're like, oh my god, is it his week? So I like, you don't need him to do anything special. I may cut a decent finish would be more than enough from you at that price. So yeah, I like Barn Rat too. I won't be getting there, sadly. My heavy guy in this range that's going to be in a majority of my lineups is Seth Reeves.
Okay.
I like Seth Reeves because he is 49th in driving distance on the entire tour. That's going to check out well in this field. He should be top 20. And his last 3 starts at coastal courses, Corrales, Puerto Rico, and AT&T Pebble Beach, 3 made cuts, and that's it. That's my lean for him there. I think he can perform well in this field. He's obviously has had some success at coastal courses, and he can drive the hell out of the ball.
That's really all you need in this range. If you're taking stabs, that's all you need. I don't mind Reeves. I mean, you're going to get him at 1%, sub 1%, a guy that a whole lot of people don't really know. Right. Are you getting to Patrick Flavin at all?
No, I've been seeing his name a lot. He's got some upside, just doesn't move the needle for me.
Yeah, he's What he played Bermuda, T17, T22 at Puerto Rico, 54th at Corrales. So he's made the cut in these alternate field events. I would almost consider this an alternate field event, younger guy. So, I mean, at $6,500, I think he's a fantastic price. I don't see him getting over 5%. I know he's getting a little bit of steam, but I will be playing some Patrick Flavin, Richie Werenski, 64. It's my last guy in this range that I'm probably going to go to. So we saw, I mean, similar to Thompson, we saw Werenski play some really bad golf as of late, like from June 2021 through almost February. He was 5 of 20 in terms of making the cut with only one finish inside the top 35. But he's turned it around as of late. Approach is getting there. Made the cut in 3 of his last 5 with a couple top 30s. Another guy who's had some success at TPC Twin Cities. Putting has been consistent. Hopefully that can kind of push him through, but I do like Werenski down at 6,400. I think that's the lowest that I'm willing to go.
Yeah, the lowest I went was 64 with obviously Reeves, and I also put McGreevy in a lineup. Same thing as Reeves, except he just made one less cut at those events that I listed off, and which is why he wasn't in the core. And then I went with Scott Gutschkowski in a lineup or two. If you build any model with 175 to 200 in it, he's Tiger Woods. So that is the only reason I did it. He just hits that. For some reason, he rates out stupidly well in that bucket range. And then my last pivot in this range was Hayden Buckley at 68, upside, higher caliber player. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, a guy we've talked about for a few weeks here. I mean, I think Buckley's pretty live. He always rates out well for me, this guy, Jason Duffner. Yeah. I don't think I can get there at 64. I mean, he fits the profile.
I don't hate that.
The par 71s, over 7,400 yards. He ranked out number 1 for me over the past 5 seasons.
You don't 5 seasons. You don't need much though. Like we're in this range, we're in a shit field. Like you gotta run with lanes. So if that and now that you said that, you gotta put him at least in one lineup.
I have to, yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Just like I think after our show last week, I threw Lauer and Wu into one, which maybe Jason Duffner follows suit with them and gets towards the top here.
We talked ourselves into some good things like Lauer, Wu, Spieth the week before.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it's gonna be tougher this week because this is just a different type of bad. So I mean, we're in a tough stretch of the season. We got majors coming around the corner, so it'll get better soon.
It definitely can't get worse. I'll tell you that.
No, we are at rock bottom of the field. We are.
All right, ready for the recap?
And we have to find a range and 1v1 it.
Yes, agree.
So recap. We'll go with the recap. Then you pick the range.
Okay, so 10K plus. Let's just rank top 2 just based off of how gross this field is. I'm gonna go Rom number 1, Reed number 2.
I'll be different. I'll go Kevin Na 1, and I'll go Finau 2.
Ugh. All right. 9Ks. Aaron Wise is my number 1. Gary Woodland 2nd.
I'll go Kirk Woodland.
Okay. 8K. I'm gonna go Charles Howell the 3rd 1. CT Pan 2.
Rai Thigala.
All right, and then 7K range. I think I'm going to go Patrick Rogers as my 1. Let me think here. This one's going to be a little bit tougher. I don't want to do Smotherman, so I'm going to do Thompson 2.
All right, I'll go Clark Smalley, 7K.
And then 6K range, rounding it out. Kiradek Alpha Barnrat, $6,900, and Richie Werenski, 64.
All right, I'll go with the 64 guys, Reeves and McGreevy. Reeves 1, McGreevy 2.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do this week. Ready?
All right, yeah.
Little side bet action. So let's pick a player. Not even, we could do finishing position.
Yeah. We should make it within like a certain range.
I was going to say 6,100 and below.
Oh my God. Oh, the bleep range. Okay.
We could go here. Listen to this.
6,100 and below.
Let's do this. We each pick
Oh, I
Two
didn't even know what I'm thinking.
golfers. Ready for this?
Yep.
We'll each pick two golfers from 6,300 and below,
Okay.
and we'll add up their total money won.
Okay, that's very unique. All right.
You want to do 2 or 3, guys?
2. That's too much. 2. Unless
Okay.
you want to do 3. You want to do 3?
I said 62, right?
You said 63.
63 and below.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah, let's do it.
2 or 3?
We'll do 3. Add
All
up
right.
the total. Add up the total money won.
We'll go back and forth. You take first pick.
First pick, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'll get 2. I'll take 2 after that.
Snake draft.
We'll snake it. Yeah, that's fair.
Snake draft.
Jesus. I definitely don't think I have an advantage by any means by picking first.
No. I mean, maybe I know my first pick.
This is serious. I'm gonna go.
This is serious.
I'm gonna go Jared Wolf.
Okay. Snake draft. All right, now pick 1, 2 in this week's snake draft. Talk about having a fire inside of their belly. Grayson Murray, he's gonna win this whole event. If you saw the Twitter beef with Kevin Na, and then 2, Matt Every. I know you don't like that, Matt Every. So you got 2. You got this documented? Or I'm gonna write it down.
I'm writing it down right now.
All right.
So right now I got Jared Wolf. You got Murray and Matt Every. I am next to round out this fantastic draft. I'm gonna go. Hold on, I gotta look up one guy.
Okay, I think I know who you're looking at.
It's because I don't know his Corn Ferry finishes, and they're not great. Yeah, I was looking up Roberto Diaz. I'm not going there. So my next 2, give me Kelly Craft.
Okay.
And Jim Knos. How you say it?
Hard K, Jim Knaus. Okay. All right. My final pick will be Alvaro Ortiz, home game junior Latin America Am champion. And that's it.
There it is. So Wolf, Kraft, Knus versus Every, Grayson Murray, and the other Ortiz. There it is. I can't wait to see how this plays out. We'll have to post the results on Twitter. But thanks again, Matt, for joining me. Obviously, always a pleasure. Good luck this week to everyone in the Mexico Open. Again, be sure to tune into the Fantasy Points YouTube channel tomorrow, Friday, Saturday for the NFL draft when your team's picking. If you want to see a reaction, hop on. They're going to have all of the football guys on there talking fantasy football, talking trades, picks, whatever the case may be. I know I'm going to be in there. Hopefully, I don't know if we're eligible to win those giveaways, but kind of going for that Roy Williams.
Oh, for sure. The good of Roy Williams too. It's the good of Roy Williams.
Exactly. So again, thanks everyone for joining us. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.